Movie Age presenting, Goodbye Christopher Robin. This is a true story. After listening to this story, you will know how Winnie the Pooh cartoon, which was liked by every child and elder, was born, and who was Christopher Robin, and in what circumstances did all these stories come to be. This story begins in World War II, 1941, when a man named Alan Alexander Miller, a woman, comes to him with a letter. And seeing that letter, he gets emotional. Then, the story goes into flashback. And now the story comes to World War I in 1916, when Alan is a part of this war. He fights the war, and after the war, he returns to his wife Daphne. The war is over. Alan is a famous writer by profession who writes poems and plays. Now time passes slowly, and a child is born in his house, and the name of that child is Christopher Robin Duck. They call him Billy Moon with love. However, Alan's wife was not happy with Christopher's birth because she didn't want to have a boy in her house. She wanted to have a girl in her house. She tells Alan that she can't love him anymore because when he grows up, he will also go to war and I will have to wait for him the way I waited for you without any expectation, and now I don't have the strength to tolerate all this. After this, they have a nanny for Christopher Robin whose name is Olive, and Olive loves Christopher Robin a lot. Time goes by slowly, and Christopher Robin turns 3 years old. But in these 3 years, only Olive has taken care of him, because his parents were very busy with their work and parties. They couldn't pay attention to Christopher Robin, and Alan keeps writing a drama. But now he is tired of his work, and he wants to go to an isolated place where he can write something new and good. So he goes to a countryside place with his whole family in England, which is a jungle, and now, Alan's whole family has moved there, but even after that, Alan doesn't write much. Now when his whole family shifts here, then Daphne gives some toys to her son, Christopher Robin, which include a teddy bear, a piglet, a tiger and a donkey, and Christopher Robin is very happy to get all these toys. Christopher asks his mom what the name of this teddy bear. His mom says that his name is Edward, and now he starts playing with his toys. One day, Christopher's dad is going towards the jungle and Christopher starts following him. And when his dad sees him, his dad says that he should go home. Christopher says that I should go back. His dad says no, come with me, and they both start walking ahead. Now Christopher asks his dad if he can name the donkey that I have. His dad says his name is Eeyore, and Christopher is very happy to hear this name. Now, when he goes ahead, he hears the sounds of bees. And he is amazed to hear that sound. Actually, he remembers World War I with that sound, when he was at war. And even today, those memories have not come out of his mind. Christopher says that these are just bees. They have come to find their city. And after hearing this, his dad relaxes. And they both come back home from there. After returning home, Ellen's wife tells him that you have come here to write something, and you have not even started writing anything yet. After the war, the entire country was in shock. People's lives have become colorless. And if you write a book against the war, you will color their colorless lives. Daphne says that she is going to London because you are such a writer who does not write. And if you do not write, it is difficult for me to endure. Ellen says, when will you come back? She says that when you start writing. Now, when she is going to London, Nanny says that Christopher and I will come with her, so that we can show the zoo to Christopher. Christopher, Nanny and Christopher's mom, Daphne, all of them go to the zoo in London. They all see a big bear in the zoo. Christopher asks what its name. Nanny says its name is Winnie, because it is from Winnipeg. After visiting the zoo, Nanny and Christopher come back home, but his mom, Daphne, stays in London, and the next day, Nanny has to take a 3-day leave to go see her mom because her mom is very sick, and their cook is already on leave, so now only Christopher Robin and his dad Alan are left at home. The next morning, when Alan was writing something, Christopher came to him. Christopher says that I know that you are writing a book about the war. This is a good idea. If you write something for me, I will definitely read it. Alan says, will you go out with me? Christopher says okay. And these two go out, and when they are out, Christopher tells him that when we went to Zoom I saw a bear there whose name was Winnie. and his name was Winnie because he was from Winnipeg. The soldiers killed his mom and he came to the zoo, where everyone was looking for him. After this, Alan tells his son that there are bees here. If there are bees here, then there must be bears here too. Christopher says that there are no bears here. Then his father shows him a bear on the tree, which is Christopher's teddy bear, whose name is Edward, whose mom gave him a toy. Actually, his dad is playing with him. Christopher says that from today I will call him Winnie. And he names him Winnie, and his dad starts playing with Christopher like this. When he has dinner, there is a lot of food and his dad makes all his toys sit there and Christopher enjoys doing all this because his father is playing with him for the first time and spending time with him, and in this game, he makes a lot of stories with his son. He names the tiger, Tiger, the bear's name is Winnie, and the donkey after him is called Eeyore, and the piglet is called Piglet. And in the same way, they have a lot of stories. Alan calls a friend from the city, who makes sketches of Christopher Robin and his toys, so that he can use it in his story, and along with that, he writes a poem, and he sends that poem to his wife. The name of this poem is Vespers, and it is related to Winnie the Pooh. After a few days, his wife came back home, and she told him that she had published his poem and people liked it a lot, and now Alan started working harder on the book, and when his first book was published, he became famous overnight. Alan was already a great writer, but after this book came all his work that he had done before. He had everything because people liked this book so much that he became a celebrity overnight. People want to know about his books and his stories. And when people learn that Christopher Robin is a real guy, people's curiosity increases even more. And now people want to meet Christopher Robin and learn about him. After a few days, Christopher Robin's nanny comes home. Christopher Robin is very happy to see her. Actually, his mom passed away. That's why it took him a little longer. Nanny tells us that she saw the poem you wrote about Christopher Robin's prayers at her friend's house. And I am very happy that people like this poem so much. Actually, the poem that Alan wrote was about Christopher Robin's prayers, which everyone liked a lot. Now when Christopher Robin has become so famous, his whole lifestyle has changed. He gets many letters every day. He goes to parties and people want to take pictures with him and get his autographs. But Christopher Robin doesn't like all this, because he wanted to play with his father in the jungle. But now, all his games are over, because Alan, his father, is so busy with his work that he can't give time to Christopher Robin. Where he used to play bad ball and make stories together, now he can't give time to Christopher Robin. He is always busy with his parties or writing, and this makes Christopher Robin very sad. Christopher Robin's nanny doesn't want his life to be the way it is, because she knows that he only wants his father's support. He doesn't want to be involved in parties, interviews, or anything else. But her parents don't understand this. Now Billy only loves his nanny, but after a few days, Nanny falls in love with Alfred, and when Billy finds out about this, he is very sad because he doesn't want to share a nanny with anyone, although the nanny loves him more than her son. But Christopher thinks that if she marries Alfred, she will get away from me, and he tells his parents that she is getting married, because he thinks that if she marries, she will leave me forever. And when his parents find out about this, Christopher's mom definitely taunts the nanny. She says that now we understand why our son was so sad. Nanny says to Alan that he is not doing what is good for Christopher. You are using him to sell your books. Make him realize that you care about him. Christopher's mom, Daphne, says, "Care? I gave birth to him." Nanny says, "Forgive me, but animals also give birth." She tells Alan that a father should support his son. He needs you. And the nanny leaves her job. Christopher is very sad about this. Although, it is not easy to leave her for a nanny, because she loves him a lot. But now, she is helpless. And after Nanny's departure, Alan slowly realizes that he had done wrong. Actually, this is the age of Christopher Robin's game, not of giving interviews and going to parties. And one day, he tells his son that from now on, I will not write anything about Christopher Robin, Winnie the Pooh, or Trigger. Not even a single word. Christopher Robin says, "Now Winnie the Pooh will be ours again." Alan says, No, now he belongs to the world, but I promise you that I will not write a single line about Christopher Robin, and neither will you have to take photographs now. Now you can do whatever you want. This makes Christopher Robin very happy, and now his dad enrolls him in a boarding school, but the kids there tease Christopher Robin a lot because of Winnie the Pooh. This makes him very upset. He spends time slowly and he grows up, and now World War II has started, and he wants to go into the army, but when he gave the test, he failed in medical. This makes him very disappointed. Actually, he wants to join the army. He wants to do something for his country. He wants to make his identity, and he tells his dad that he knows that he can get me admitted to the medical school, because you are in the hearts of every citizen of the country, and all this is possible because of me. And even if Alan doesn't want to, he used to get him admitted into the army. And before going to war, Christopher tells his dad, "That bear ruined my life. Wherever I go, people find out. When I was small, we used to play in the jungle, and then you wrote a book and everything ended. You changed completely." Alan says that this is not true. "As soon as I realized, I stopped writing it." Christopher says you sent him back. Alan says you told me to write a book about you. Christopher says, "I didn't tell you about me. I told you for myself." And after this, Christopher goes to war with the train. Then the story comes back to the present, and Alan opens the letter which he had just received. It says your son is missing. He might have died. He got completely broke after hearing this news. His wife also cries a lot. And then, Alan goes to Christopher's nanny. When the nanny finds out, she cries a lot, because she still loves Christopher a lot. She considers him her son. And one night, when Alan is sitting outside his house, he sees someone coming from outside. And when he looks carefully, his son Christopher Robin is coming from outside. He is alive and he shakes hands with him. Alan asks his son if he is really Billy Moon because he always calls his son Billy Moon. He says yes, I am alive. After this, Christopher Robin's mom comes, and she is also very happy to see her son. She gets tears in her eyes, and when Nanny finds out that Christopher Robin is alive, she comes to meet him, and she cries a lot when she hugs him. After this, Christopher tells his dad that when we were in the desert, and we were being fired, then one man started singing Winnie the Pooh, and when he was singing he was missing his home. That song took him to his childhood. This magic happened because of you, and that song was mine first. His dad says that I sold it. Christopher says that when people's hopes were broken after the First World War, then you remind them what childhood is. What is happiness? Those stories, this jungle was ours before anyone else. Alan says it will always be. Now all the complaints between the two have been removed, but even after not being written by Alan, Winnie the Pooh's fame continued to grow. Christopher Robin did not take any money from his stories. He lived a happy married life and opened a bookstore. Christopher's toys are still kept in the New York Public Library, which every year 7.5 lakh people come to see. And recently, Winnie the Pooh has been considered the best book in children's history. The true story ends here. Hope you like the story.